This
We're in the
is
same county.
Sports Drive.
Channel 10. No, I need you.
Welcome
You
back
call me.
into Sports Drive. Once again, I'm your host, Preston Moore. We're going to talk high school football for the rest of this show. Joining me now is head coach over at Booker. It's Coach David Biddler. Coach Biddler, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have you on the show and talk about Booker football. You mentioned before the show, you mentioned to me that you've been there for a couple years, but this year is a little bit different, obviously. Number one, because it's your first year as head coach, but number two, you guys are going to be playing six-man football. That brings on some changes, bringing back a game with Follette that we mentioned, and obviously a entirely different schedule in a lot of ways. What do you think, going into a season with so many changes, how do you go about that, especially in those first few days of practice?
Well, we got to this decision pretty late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Last day of school, they had a board meeting. We decided to go six-man. We have one more year in 2A before we can move back down. But it's been great. The kids have really responded. They're excited. Everybody in the community is on board. And I really think people are finally realizing that we might should have done this a long time ago.
What do you think, especially having coached there for years now, what do you think are some of the benefits, do you think, to moving to six-man? When you were going through this decision-making process, what were some of the things that stuck out to you as, well, here are some ways that we can improve here, and here, or here are some ways that six-man would be better for our program?
So in basketball, our boys were, had a winning program. We went to the playoffs. We did pretty well in 1A. And, we were always playing up 11-man in 2A for football. And so we would come out of football, we're kind of beat up. We don't have a winning attitude. And, we turned it around in basketball year after year. And I just really think that's going to translate over, getting to play people our own size, getting, a chance to, be one of the bigger six-man teams. And I really think we're going to thrive on that.
Right. And one thing that I want to bring up now is you guys don't have a bye week really until the end of the season. That's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles sometimes for some teams. When you look at that, obviously your schedule now is just kind of a grind week to week to week. And you got some tough teams on there. We mentioned Follette. That's going to be an exciting game, obviously, this rivalry coming back, historic rivalry. And then obviously you also have Happy and McLean and some other really, heavy hitters on this schedule. When you've got games back to back to back to back with no week breaks like a lot of the other teams are going to have, how do you go about that as a coach to make sure your guys stay sharp?
Yeah, biggest thing, we got to keep everybody healthy. We have a great trainer here. She, does a great job. We'll keep everybody healthy. Obviously, practices, once the season is going, trying to limit how much contact we're doing throughout the week. I know these first 2 weeks have been great. We've really had some great practices, really going at it. That's one thing people don't realize when you're an 11-man and we're so small, that it's hard to have 11 on 11 in practice sometimes. And now we have, one or two huddles going at a time. We're able to, really have some people come in, and we have great depth, behind those starters. And it's really going to show, in 11-man too, we had a lot of people going both ways all the time, and they were dying, they were tired. Now we're going to be able to keep people fresh, give them a break, is really going to help out.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been playing in 2A for a little while and, playing some really tough teams in 2A. I'm looking at the schedule. You got Vega, Sunray, Groover, Clarendon. These are teams that, are known to be really heavy hitters at that level. Now you're moving down to 1A. How do you think, especially for some of your returning kids, how do you think that sort of experience against those teams at the 2A level, how do you think that experience may benefit you now that you're moving down to six-man?
Yeah, that's a great point. We probably have 8 people returning that saw a lot of playing time last year. We have 6 seniors this year, and they all started last year. So
Mm-hmm.
they're ready to go. They're working harder than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's really going to show once we get out there. They've had the tackle, they've had the block, try to put points on the board, every year in 11 man. So it's not going to be any different in 6 man, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously they have experience against bigger teams, and I think that's really going to help out.
It's interesting to me just from like a scheming perspective, like a just formulaically, the game itself changes when you have half as many guys out there on the field. So as a coach, when you're going into that, obviously you mentioned first year as a head coach, so probably some changes were going to happen anyways. But now having to coach kids who are used to 11-man football that are now going into 6-man football. You mentioned you have a handful of returning guys who saw a lot of playing time last year. Has it been an adjustment coaching, and getting them
It
to adapt now?
it a little bit, but at the same time, we graduated our entire line from last year, except um, maybe one or two guys that got some playing time on the line. So we're returning most of our skill people who are quicker. Um, we've done a lot of passing drills,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody's eligible to catch the ball, and they've really enjoyed it. These
Mm-hmm.
guys that didn't ever get to go out for a pass, they're really enjoying the everything about it, because it's fun. Who
Mm-hmm.
don't want to go out and catch a ball, and
Mm-hmm. Becomes a
I,
different game for some of those guys, I would
oh,
imagine.
for sure. But in the same time, most of our returning people are faster, more athletic. So I think they're going to do just fine and going to thrive.
Yeah, looking at your schedule, all new teams. This is something that, a lot of schools don't necessarily, or a lot of players don't necessarily always get to experience. A lot of teams will get used to, teams and coaches will get used to playing the same teams year by year, the same non-district schedule, and then obviously the same district schedule over the course of a couple of years. And they can get into that groove of knowing kind of what to expect. Obviously, you'll be able to prepare and scout these guys out week by week, and know what to look forward to, or what to expect from each opponent. But at the same time, this isn't a scenario where you have played these guys before. This isn't a scenario where your kids have played these guys before recently. It's all
True.
different. And one of those games is that, like we mentioned, Follette. That's a rivalry game that I've heard a lot of people in the community are excited about returning. That one will be played in Follette at 7 p.m. on September 22nd. How excited are you for that game?
We're pretty pumped up. That is their homecoming as well. It's going to be a great crowd. I'm pretty sure everybody in Booker will attend that game,
Mm-hmm.
about 25 minutes down the road. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a packed house and pretty rowdy. I can't even tell you the last time they played in football. We've been 11 man so long, and obviously we've still played each other in some basketball, baseball, and all the kids know each other. So I think it's
Right.
going to be a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, we appreciate you joining the show. We're looking forward to this season of Booker football. Looking forward to seeing some of the changes, some of the differences, and I'm sure that you guys are excited as well. It looks like it's going to be an exciting season, an exciting schedule. Again, that Follette game, September 22nd. We're certainly excited for that here at News Channel 10. We appreciate you joining the show, Coach Biddler.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Preston. We'll see you.
Absolutely. We'll be right back with more Sports Drive after the break. Stick around.